to order at 9:02. Sorry, I should have probably waited for that. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to look at the minutes from last month. And if there are no changes or corrections or any discussion, the minutes will stand as presented.
Okay.
All right, one of the goals for our membership meetings for 2022 is to provide information and trainings so for each of these membership meetings. So this morning we have two presentations. Our first presentation will be from Faluka Akani of the Housing Action Illinois. Welcome, Faluka, and thank you for being here with us this morning. And we're really excited to hear your presentation.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Faluka Akani, and I'm glad to be here. I'm going to try to share my slides, actually, and hopefully it all works out.
It worked.
It's okay. Sweet. I'm trying to put in like slideshow mode. Great, everybody can.
You're good.
Good. Well, again, good morning. I'm glad to be here. Again, my name is Faluka Akani with Housing Action Illinois. I'm just going to talk today about advocacy and what that means and what that entails. So I have two screens. So if you see me kind of veering up, it's because I have the two screens going on. But I want to talk a little bit about like who Housing Action Illinois is. So we're actually celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. We've been around for 35 years. And our mission is basically to expand affordable housing and end homelessness in the state of Illinois. We are a membership coalition, a statewide coalition. We have over 150 members. I think it's 160 now, but 150 members in county. And we basically do advocacy in different sets of capacity. We have a policy team, which I'm part of. I work with Bob Palmer, which some of you guys might know. He's been with Housing Action, is celebrating his 28th year this year, I believe. And then I also work with Sheila Sutton, another policy organizer as well. And then we also have our capacity building team with Dave Young. They basically help with doing trainings with housing counseling and home ownership, trying to help to bridge that the racial wealth gap in home ownership, and also doing trainings to educate folks around housing counseling. And then we have our AmeriCorps network, which helps to assign AmeriCorps members around the state to also do work and services that will end homelessness in the state as well. So that's one of the work that supports our member organizations as well. So some of the key accomplishments over the 35 years we've done, we helped to create the homeless prevention program, which most of you probably know, that helps basically provide rent, utility assistance to individuals that need it, who are in the midst of homelessness. We also help to do the rental housing support program. There's subsidized programs for extremely low income households for 2,500 extremely low income households in their homes. Recently, we've helped with the COVID-19 response relief just to advocate for more funding to help folks who are experiencing homelessness and also who are in the midst of eviction to get funds and programs that they need to help them stay housed. Right now, we are working on several things in the state advocacy level. We're trying to pass the source of income protection bill, which is the HB 2775. Basically, that bill helps to protect voucher holders, so housing choice voucher holders, so those folks who have Social Security, income, or disability insurance, veteran voucher holders, and anybody basically having or receiving like a non-wage, a non-income wage income. The bill passed the House last year, and we're trying to pass it this spring. So I will put some like information about that bill in the chat for anybody who wants more information. Or if you want to sign on as an organization that supports or endorses this bill, you can do that as well. I'll put that also in the chat after the presentation. But it did pass the House last year, and we're trying to pass it this spring session, which ends in April. So we added actually one more co-sponsor in the Senate. We have 26 co-sponsors in the Senate that supports this bill, and we're trying for the Senate leadership to call it to the Senate floor to vote on, and hopefully pass the bill this spring. We're also working to extend the tenant eviction ceiling law, and that was part of the COVID-19 relief packet last year, basically helping to seal evictions from March 20 to March 2022. So we want to extend that ceiling eviction for 2 more years with SB 3913. And also so that's the Senate bill. And then hopefully with the House bill, trying to make it more permanent with HB 5180. We're also working to actually, also with our partners with SHIPA and CCH, we're trying to get more fiscal recovery funds for next year for the state year's budget. So we're working with our partners to make sure that there is more funding for homeless prevention and the homelessness line items in the state budget that will help again to give funding to create non-congregate emergency shelters for people experiencing homelessness, and also help to rehab homes and address also the racial wealth gap in the state. Our federal advocacy, we're working with the National Low Income of Housing Coalition with the Build Back Better Act. Basically, that act has a housing provision that funds $150 billion towards housing. And what that means for Illinois is that approximately will result in 12,800 new housing choice vouchers for households. And then 694 million of that will go into the Housing Trust Fund that will create development and new housing for extremely low income people in the state of Illinois. The bill has been kind of in a standstill lately, so we're trying to let federal legislation know that this is a bill that is actually giving more funding for housing. We have right now an action alert going on just to let your federal Congress person know that this is a bill that must pass with housing investment like no other. And then we're also working with our partners in the National Low Income Housing Coalition to also pass a federal budget that also gives more funding towards housing and homelessness issues.
Luca, if I could just interrupt for a second on that Build Back Better, is that at all, is it in committee or anything, or are you still trying to get sponsors? Where's that at?
So the Build Back Better, it passed the Housing Committee in the federal government. It passed the Housing Committee. Right now, it's in the Senate, and I think there are 2 senators that are kind of holding the bill. Senator Joe Manchin, and mostly Joe Manchin wants to make sure that, I think he has other priorities that he wants to be in the Big Back Better Act, Better bill, but I don't think housing is his main concern. So we're trying to push for housing to be included as part of that Build Back Better Act. He also has other issues too that he doesn't support, but we're trying to push that to the Senate. We are trying to push that rhetoric that housing investments must stay in the Build Back Better Act. And then also we've had that the White House wants to cut out some of the provisions also from housing investments. So that's something that we're trying to let also federal legislation know that that housing investments are important. The
Okay.
Build Back Better Act actually includes a lot of things, but we want to make sure that housing investment stays.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
I'm sorry, you are on the next slide. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So we do have, again, we have newsletters that go out, and then also action alerts. We have a membership organization. So if folks do want to learn more about being a member, I can put that also on the chat and the link as well, just to learn about how to become a member, or if you want to be an individual member as well. We have a Google group that goes out. I think we send at least one email a week, not that much emails. We have it for the continuum care leaders and homeless service providers, and also for folks who want to do advocacy work. So we have 2 different types of emails, and this gives you information about what's going on statewide around policy issues, and if you want to be involved, and also what's going on when it comes to about advocacy with different types of government agencies. If you do want to be in the list, I can also, you can email me. I'll put my email information and all that also in the chat as well. So I'll put a lot of things in the chat. Hopefully you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I can answer some of the questions, or refer to folks who know more than I do about some of the issues as well. But I think that's all I have today. But thanks for letting me be a part of this, this space. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. I can also answer them right now.
Anyone have any questions?
I just want to thank you for all that you shared today, and thank you for being a part of this group on a monthly basis too. We appreciate what Housing Action Illinois is, and the all that you do to help give us resources and to advocate as well. So we really appreciate your time and what you've shared this morning.
Right. You've given me a lot of things to research up on, so thank you. Some of these House bills, take a look at those. So that's terrific. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. All right. Also this morning, Susan Day with the Supporting Housing Providers Association, and she's going to speak to us about elevating the voice of people with lived experience. We appreciate you being with us this morning, Susan, and we'll look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm going to also attempt to share my screen.
Hey, we're 100%. We
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you ladies have done this before.
Yeah. I'm not as well versed in Zoom, so let's see. I can. Whoops. All right, let me move this. There we go. Move that out of the way. All right. So slideshow from beginning. There. That should be full screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about storytelling and lived experience leaders and developing meaningful roles and relationships with persons of lived experience in your continuum of care. So I like to start out by saying, if you have ever told the tale of your life more than once, then congratulations, you already know how to tell your story. And that goes for all of us, because we've all told our story in some way or some incident that has impacted our life. And everyone's story is unique, and everyone has unique talents, and we can discover a way for you to tell your truth. Okay, let me see if I can just tell. There we go. So during the month of October, our resident leader group volunteered to participate in our pilot storytelling workshop. Our resident group consisted of persons with lived experience who now reside in permanent supportive housing. We held 5 virtual 2-hour sessions weekly And the last session, we were fortunate enough to meet in person. So we managed to pilot this program during a lockdown, and we all know that interperson interaction is really the best way to build relationships, but we were fairly successful with the virtual style to begin with. After that last meeting, I was able to meet with each person individually to finish their story. And these resident leaders directly impacted and shaped the program, designed through their feedback and their participation. They also helped develop the name for the workshop to be unique to SHPA's resident program, because all of the participants were from our resident leadership and empowerment program. They also developed the mission statement and goals of the workshop for future leader participation. And I anticipate every time we hold one of these workshops that it'll continue to shape and impact the overall storytelling workshop, because we're dealing with real people, and it's a real movement of empowerment. I have to go back, actually. Really proud of the photo on this slide. This is our literal whiteboard that we used on our last visit to develop the name and the mission statement and the goals. So we actually did the whiteboard. So our residents, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I had a little message that my network was unstable, and I thought, okay, I better double check. Okay. Our resident leaders decided to call SHPA's storytelling workshop Telling My Truth. And the reason they came to this conclusion was the word story and storytelling didn't sit well with any of them. To them, it hinted of untruths, and the entirety of the group wanted the audience to understand that when they tell their stories, they were 100% factual of their perception of their lives. They went on to develop a mission statement, and it was empowering persons of lived experience to tell their story of truth, thereby advocating to end homelessness in Illinois. And the overall overarching goal for the workshop was to utilize this workshop to realize a better level of self-empowerment, to become a voice for the voiceless, and encourage other residents to do the same. Pretty fantastic work, I would say. So just a quick overview of the workshop for those of you who are providers and might be interested in working with SHPA to host a workshop. I won't drag you down with all the details, but we started out with, establishing that everyone has a talent, that you own everything that happened to you. We covered the creative act of storytelling and how it is as old as language itself. Storytelling was around before the internet and, even electricity, when you used to just sit around the fire and have nothing to do but talk. Imagine that. Storytelling has the power to heal and transform. It's dedicated time to understanding empowerment as part of the workshop. And as a person with lived experience, the empowerment piece is very, very important, and how empowerment relates to storytelling. So establishing the workshop safety, we established a safe zone among our group, and that we were there to support and offer each other encouragement. We wanted everyone to feel safe in their participation and contribution. And we established the rules for the group right off the bat. To only speak with respect, to be a good listener, devote your attention to the speaker, and keep everyone's information held to the highest of confidence. Only share when you feel ready, empowered, and safe and comfortable. And it's okay to not share everything, right? It's okay to keep some private things to yourself. I began the workshop with, if writing is difficult, what can you do instead? Not everyone can sit down and put pen to paper comfortably, right? We all have our best learning techniques. But what I did say is it's amazing how we can, crank out a 200-word text in less than 30 seconds, but we say writing's difficult, right? So we examined other ways to really jot down your story, right? Can we use our phone? if that's a comfortable way? Can we use a keypad in maybe a Word or a Google document? Can you jot down phrases instead of trying to form complete sentences? And spelling is never important because we have all kinds of programs that we can run things through for spelling, right? Then we moved on to free writing. Basically choose your own topic and write how you feel. There's never a right or wrong response to free writing, and we learned how to describe sensory responses, what you were seeing, feeling, tasting during the event. We covered some strategies for effective storytelling, which include the basics of storytelling, with guidelines on how to stay on track and narrow down your relevant experiences that you want to include. We practice writing from prompts, which is basically just a suggestion on what to write about, and covered effective storytelling and learned how to outline our narrative for the final telling. And what we realized is with all these little things, we were actually developing our story all along. So we have to also mention that I did cover trauma as part of the storytelling workshop, because we all know that trauma has a way of sneaking up on us, right? And trauma is basically not dismissing that the pain never existed, but acknowledging that it no longer controls our lives. So we always take regular times to stop and ask ourselves, has this process created any feelings you may have a hard time processing? Have you had any experiences or memories that have triggered a past trauma? And then we allow, if the answer is yes, we allow for the option of postponing the process for anyone involved, offering to participate in a future workshop. Anyone who chose not to share their story were allowed to stay with the group and participate with no expectations. Also, to withdraw their participation altogether was okay, or to participate with SHPA in a different manner, because we have, our resident leadership program, we have our regular meetings, and our resident committee right now is involved in some pretty exciting advocacy things. So as to not disclude you from the process, whatever your comfort level was of participation. Each participant then decided how they wanted to present their story, their truth. Whether that's writing or recording. We discussed the many ways stories could be used for advocacy in their housing unit or agency, their city, their state, and throughout the nation. I also had a full slide that involved what a continuum of care is, and continuum of care participation involvement, and what that means. In what manner did they wish to share their truth? Advocacy efforts, speaking engagements, or just resting in the moment and deciding where to go from here once you've developed your personal truth. We discussed why it would be important to have shorter versions. We went over what an elevator speech was in the event that advocacy would be in their near future. So you and I, everyone on this meeting, all understand the value of storytelling. For persons with lived experience, the focus group, their feedback stated that it reflected the truth of their experience rather than the assumption that others project upon them or their circumstance. That was a very big telling result of this. And by others, it could be family, friends, or peers. It removed the notion that their disability or housing situation was somehow their fault. Really helped to deal with that inner guilt messaging. It excluded the societal stigmas to achieve their goal. Again, that goes a lot along the lines of the guilt messaging and the value of your worth. And it shed light on our overall overarching systems and values. So the empowerment gain truly reflects getting beyond this and understanding the value of themselves and how their experience can create change. Realizations occurred during the process and working through these truths during the workshop. And it was, for me, just an honor to be part of that and to see how things evolved and changed. What we discovered, many participants wanted to continue sharing their stories after the workshop. I can say almost 100% did. The only exclusion was the guy that told me, I already told my story, I'm done. So, but he does continue to stay involved in SHPA, so he doesn't know it, but he is continuing. Most felt they could advocate for those who were experiencing homelessness, disability, or unnecessary institutionalization. And this was really primarily 100% of everyone's goals. Our participants expressed feeling a new level of personal empowerment, and participants were just overall eager to be part of the bigger picture. And the workshop contributes to leadership on a larger scale and doesn't need to end after the story is told. As I attended statewide COC meetings, I started to hear we're talking again, this was back in October, right? So I started to hear with like the new NOFO coming out and all of that, that leadership was really needed within the COCs. And I began to identify the potential link between these leaders who want a bigger role in advocacies and the COCs who were looking for leaders. And I began to ask myself really how to bridge this gap. And, here's what we know. We can propel truths into solutions. We can dismantle bias into facts. And these persons with lived experience is what I'm talking about. They can help propel truths into solution and dismantle bias into facts. They can understand the barriers to leadership and let us know what those barriers are, right? And they have the skills needed to help shape policy. So the question that's, really running through everybody's mind is recognizing we are developing leaders in the workshop and need these leaders in the COC roles, how to bridge that gap and what are the next steps. I don't have a definitive solution as to what persons with lived experience leadership roles look within the COC, as it can vary greatly by region and by COC, right? However, we recognize why their participation matters so much. And I am working throughout the state to develop the next steps to identify and include these leaders, and what it really looks like within your COC. Do you need to develop the infrastructure for these leaders for participation within policy? How will they be involved in boards and on committees? In governance and in the coordinated entry process? I think they really would have a great impact with everybody trying to develop the new coordinated entry tool. Oh, wow, who better than a person with lived experience? And in what ways would their input be received to establish recognition as a peer? And that's going to be very important to establish those meaningful relationships that they're valued as a peer. I've gotten responses from a few COCs, and again, you all, because that's why I'm here today, on hosting a Telling My Truth workshop for regional participation to understand leadership, which equals a better understanding of what it looks like for you all. We're just asking agencies and organizations to identify interested persons if you'd want to host this in your area. Identify a neutral meeting location, provide essential items for participation. And during the session, when we talk about advocacy, I think it would be phenomenal to have someone from the COC to come in and present and maybe perhaps spark an interest and recruit a leader from your area by speaking to their value and what's important to them. And post-workshop, it might be that we turn to what SHPA knows best. At this point, everybody laughs when I say a small working group, because it seems like that's what we do. And it really has phenomenal results, right? So I'm always open for personal feedback on this presentation or anything that has to do with persons with lived experience. And so feel free to contact me. Any input is appreciated, even if you think that I'm off track on something. I'd love to hear about it. I should have probably introduced myself at the beginning, but I am the Illinois coordinator for the Central and Southern region for SHPA, and I am the program manager for the Resident Leadership and Empowerment Program, which you can probably tell is my heart. So if anybody has any questions, my information's on the slide. If you'd like me to also drop it in the chat, I can for an easy copy paste. Any questions or?
I don't know about questions, but this is phenomenal, giving a voice, because one of the things I've heard so many times with those with lived experience is not being heard. So I love this, that you're giving a voice to this. This is fantastic, Susan. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions?
I just want to reiterate that this is something our continuum of care is absolutely committed to. And as Susan said, with next steps, one of the key next steps is identifying people who have worked with organizations or you've had experience with in our community who have lived experience, who might be willing to participate in this. Once we can identify a number of people who would like to participate, this is something we can bring to our community. And so we absolutely want to do that. And Susan, again, grateful for your help and your partnership to improve the way we incorporate lived experience in our community. So thanks for being here, and thanks for all that you're bringing and helping us as we seek to develop this in a better way.
Sure. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we'll have an update on emergency housing vouchers. Nick, I forgot to give you a heads up, but hopefully you saw the agenda and know you are going to be up next.
Hey, everybody. Nick Dotson, housing navigator for the Heartland Continuum of Care. Got a new landlord interested in joining the program just yesterday. Took him over the paperwork, talked to him about it. Going to help guide him through it, and actually just got an email yesterday from one of the landlords sent over to Josh, exclaiming how pleased they were with the process, how smooth it was, and how much they look forward to working with the program in the future. So things are going well. I think we are up to 27 vouchers, 26 or 27. I don't have the exact data in front of me. I apologize. But rocking and rolling. It's sometimes tricky, sometimes hard, but we're getting a lot of people into some places that are a lot better than where they previously were. So,
yeah. In case, and Nick, you're doing a phenomenal job. Absolutely. In case anybody, the emergency housing voucher, if that's a new thing to you, this is a program that was created through the American Rescue Plan. So 37 vouchers were awarded to the Springfield Housing Authority. And they were created to work with the continuum of care. And so we are helping to identify people to use those vouchers. And Nick, as our housing navigator, is helping to work with our agencies and individuals and landlords to facilitate that process. And so it's been an exciting opportunity for us. We've been, the way that we've prioritized the vouchers is through a moving up program, or moving on program first, sorry. So that was to create new space and permanent supportive housing. We identified people who were in permanent supportive housing who were ready to move on, and this created a great opportunity for them to do that. And then that opened up new spots in permanent supportive housing. And then following that, or actually alongside that, we developed what we're calling the Moving Up program. And so that's providing an avenue for agencies to identify people they're working with for a rapid rehousing-like program. And so that's how agencies are referring people to these vouchers. And then Nick is developing relationships with landlords, helping to, again, some landlords for the first time accepting vouchers and accepting people who might have had an experience with homelessness. And so there's just a lot of tremendous work that's happening for the first time, in part because we have a housing navigator working in our community. So we're excited about that. We're looking forward to having all 37 of these vouchers leased up, and then we'll beg whoever we can for more. So that's I don't know that can happen, but we'll certainly advocate and try in any way that we can.
All right, any questions for Nick or Josh? All right, our 2022 point in time count. For those of you that don't know, the HUD requires that communities conduct a count of people experiencing homelessness who are sheltered in emergency shelter or living on the street or other locations not meant for human habitation. So the Heartland Continuum of Care will hold our count next Tuesday, February the 22nd at 8 p.m. We'll meet at 5th Street Renaissance, located at 1315 North 5th Street. For those of you that would like to sign up, there was a link in the email that Josh sent out just recently that you can volunteer for this. And then just a few days ago, there was, or maybe it was yesterday, I've already lost track, I don't know. There was a training, a mandatory training that was held via Zoom. And if you want to sign up and were unable to make that Zoom meeting, there's also a link contained in your email of that recording so that you could go through that training yourself. Anything else, Josh, that you want to add to that?
Just want to say, if anybody wants to sign up, I put the link in the chat. So there's an easy way to do that. And if you sign up there, I'll send you the links to the video. So even if you're just curious, you're not sure if you want to do it, sign up and say you're curious, watch the video, and then you can perhaps make a decision at that point. So that initial training is relatively short, about 15 minutes, but just sort of orients you to what the pit count is and what we'll be doing on that evening. When we gather at 8 p.m. at 5th Street Renaissance, we'll talk more about the pit count survey. So what we'll be going out and the questions we'll be asking folks, and then more logistics. So we're hoping to have 10 teams that we send out into the community. Each team will have anywhere from 2 to 4 people on the team. So again, sign up in the chat if you're through the link in the chat, and many of you have signed up that are on this call as I look at the participant list. So grateful for everyone who's helping.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, Tracy.
Can I add something, please?
By all means.
So, and this is for any of the housing providers only, from ES through TH, PSH. I'm changing up the housing inventory count side of that this year. I will be sending out an email possibly this afternoon, probably tomorrow. It's going to be a Google document this year for you to confirm all of your beds. And you'll understand it when you see the Excel spreadsheet, but instead of sending out 1,000 different emails requesting that you confirm your housing inventory for this project and this project and this project, it's going to be a Google Doc, and I need each line signed by the executive director only, please. So expect that one email from me for everybody. That's it.
Excellent. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, our strategic planning update. Josh, you want to fill us in on that, please?
Yeah. Since the January meeting, we've gotten to it. I think in January we talked about some of the subcommittees that we're meeting and focusing on particular issue areas. 3 of the key areas involved as the strategic plan begins to take shape and move towards a draft are unsheltered homelessness. How as a community do we better address unsheltered homelessness? Housing development. Some of the things that we've talked about today with Housing Action Illinois, that idea that as a community, if we really want to solve homelessness, we have to continually develop more housing. And how do we develop the skills, the systems, the funding necessary as a community to do that is really the focus of that subcommittee. And then a behavioral health subcommittee that's been focused on how do we increase coordination? How do we increase services available, especially as we help to connect more people with housing, with mental health supports and behavioral health supports. And so those subcommittees have completed their work. An initial draft of some of the goals went to the steering committee last week. And so now we're in the process of refining those and getting those to a place where they'll be ready to share with the community by early spring. So it continues to move forward and increasingly is getting to a more and more tangible place. And yeah, we're excited about it. Any questions beyond that?
All right, thanks, Josh. Under our old new business, something I'm really excited about, the Community Ambassador Training Update. Is there someone that would like to give this update? This is so exciting. Is there anybody? I think I saw Katrina maybe from the Community Education is on, or is Ronnie on? Josh, I didn't see.
I don't think so, but
okay.
We've got Jane.
Jane or Katrina. Yeah, anybody jump in on here because this is exciting. The movement we've gotten here. So
Ron said that we had 75 people complete the training as of now. Couple of people, including our state's attorney, Dan Wright, and Scott Dahl of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they have put it up on LinkedIn. And so there's a movement there. People are getting it there, and the word is being spread there. So that is really good. Trying to think of what else. I actually reached out to thank those people and to continue, putting it out. I mean, I actually talked to someone yesterday and asked if they had and sent them the link, and they hadn't. So I guess we can keep moving. I also texted the mayor to say, are you continuing to encourage people in your administration to do this? So did I leave anything out, Josh?
No, I mean, I think the Convention and Visitors Bureau, almost all of them, I mean, Scott really encouraged all of them to do that. And I know both Josh and I reached out to those people that, commented on LinkedIn, how much we appreciate that. And, it's about an hour-long training. Josh just put the link in the text box if you are unfamiliar, but it's also, I believe, in the email. I think you included it in the email also. And so anything else, Josh, Katrina, anybody want to add anything more?
I would just encourage everybody that's in the general membership. We'd love for you to do this. It's basically the goal is to orient people to some of the work that's going on, but also some of where we're trying to get to. What are best practices that are working elsewhere, and helping to provide a broader understanding of what homelessness is and how we can address it together. And so it's been great to see. I know Lincoln Library has many of their staff people have taken advantage of it, provided great feedback. So it's something that we think is really valuable. We want to build off of too, in terms of how we educate the community and provide more opportunities to do that. So we'd welcome you to take it and then share it with people if you find it helpful.
Josh,
All right.
should we tease part of the conversation from yesterday?
Sure, go for it.
So just a couple of things going on. I'm sure that you all have seen a few articles being written about the permanent supportive housing project and IDA's involvement. And so there's been 2 different articles. And there was some discussion at committee yesterday that kind of talked about, it seemed like maybe the framing of the second story about the project seemed less positive than the first article. And so how can we continue to ensure that the public at large is thinking positively about permanent supportive housing projects? Because we know that through strategic planning that this is going to be something that this community needs, and we need to be supportive of that. So what we were hoping to do is, by having people take the ambassador training, if people are committed to these ideas or learning about this work, is creating some quick notes about different articles that might be released. And so, and sending that to the ambassadors to say hey, here are some quick things about the article might have framed it this way, but we want to remind you about this data point, or we want to remind you about this story, or we want to just to continue to really make sure we're connecting the messages back to this work and this continuum and how we can move forward as a community. I think I've captured this accurately. It's still something that is being tooled and noodled on, but we also are anticipating an article released about strategic planning. And so we're kind of waiting in the wings to see how that one goes, but we may be sending something out within 24 hours or something. But if you all are interested in that, or you see stories that are shared that are being not maybe we didn't see it or something, please make sure to send that to Josh so he can send that to the committee, or Nick on the committee, so that way we can always stay in front of it as a supportive network.
Yeah, thank you, Katrina. I love that idea. That's great. And I'm glad the community education group is really looking at that, because that is the challenge that we're facing. So thank you. Thank you.
I think that's again, thank you to Katrina for that too. I think
Mhm.
the part of what the community ambassador tries to, tries to really, one of the key parts is permanent supportive housing. We will not be able to move forward. We will not be able to improve our system. We will not be able to get close to ending homelessness in our community if we don't see a pretty rapid expansion of permanent supportive housing. And it's hard for our agencies to do that work. And so then when agencies do that work, it's crucial that we support them in that. And so, we're really grateful that, I think to Katrina's point, to Nick's point, 2 weeks ago, there was an article celebrating, IDA granting $10 million to our
Mhm.
community to develop housing. And then last week, an article about permanent supportive housing that almost paints it in a negative light. And so it's really, it's an incredible thing that $5 million is coming into our community to develop permanent supportive housing, which is a desperate need. As community ambassadors, as general membership, we would love to have you join us and really supporting those efforts, because it's crucial, not just that we develop one project, but realistically, we need to try to bring a project like this to our community every year for the next 5 years or so, perhaps more. So, so your support is crucial. And then I don't want to camp out too long, Val, but just as a community education task group, just want to mention that Katrina Hayes has been just a crucial asset to that task group. And she is transitioning to a new position after this week. And we're gonna miss her in that work, but we're incredibly grateful for all that she's contributed.
Here, here, I agree. Thank you, Katrina. We really appreciate all your support and, participation with us. But I'm not going to let you go that easy. Josh may say, but I'm not letting you go that easy. So you know that. Okay. General membership renewals. We talked about this a little bit. We did mention it to everyone last month, and we asked that that everyone who wishes to remain a voting member of the organization remain an organizational member of the Heartland Continuum of Care, that you update your information through the link provided in the membership email. And I believe Josh also included it in the email that he sent out. All right, for some reason my whole thing went blank. Did you hear what I said?
We did, yep.
Okay, I was like, oh, I'm looking at a completely black screen. So I'm like, okay, must be the weather or whatever. So, all right, and finally we have agency updates. Is there any agency that would like to share some exciting news or anything with the membership?
I'll throw out there really quickly. I got a text update with the impending weather. The overflow shelter will be open 24/7 through the weekend. So helpful for everyone to know that as we see what sort of weather develops.
Terrific.
This is Katina at YSB. I wanted to mention Youth Service Bureau just got funded for a new youth employment services program. It's our YES program, and it's designed to recruit and engage youth that are homeless and provide them with work readiness skills, employment skills, connect them with vocational training programs, and then provide them placement and employment and supportive services to sort of address any barriers to employment or accessing vocational programs. It is the DHS definition of homeless. So it does include homeless youth that are living doubled up or just don't have a fixed regular nighttime residence. So if anyone knows any youth 16 to 24 that may be in a homeless situation, but not necessarily in one of our shelters, we certainly do have those services to help them at least become employed. And then if they're interested in housing, we of course have housing services for homeless youth that age as well. So just wanted to put that out there if anyone knows any youth in that situation.
All right, thanks, Katina.
Thank you. I see Reggie has his hand up. Reggie, you can come off mute and share.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Reggie.
I have a question. And I got a statement. When the Salvation Army first started taking applications, the HR, I filled the application. I was denied, talking about I don't have enough volunteers hours. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Because a lot of this mess that's going on with the homeless, I'm the one started. And everybody, I've been trying to get everybody on board. Thank God that everybody is getting on board. The second, this statement is, it's one of the, I can end up losing my house. I got my best friend here right now because he cannot go into no shelters because he can't take care of himself. And he refused to go to the nursing home. I took him into my house, taking good care of him. Yes, he's losing his mind a little bit, but he remembers things. He's losing control of his body. And I've been taking care of him real good for the last 4 months. And they're not talking about, that's not volunteering work. And I've been working with Lisa, Brat, Helping Hands, Alonda, and Renetta. All of them, we be talking every week about him. I'm not gonna mention his name, but yeah, he's one of the people that's supposed to be in the shelter, but he can't go in the shelter because he can't walk in there and he cannot take care of himself. But he is around my house right now, and I am taking care of him. Right now, Renetta and I think it's Lisa is trying to get me on payroll assistance because I actually keeps notes and I have to support them about, I don't know what job they was trying to talk about, but they're trying to give me a job assistance for the last 4 months that I've been taking care of this man. What, I'm out for feedback on that one. What do y'all think?
Reggie, I don't know what part are you asking for feedback on? I don't think we'll comment on hiring for Salvation Army. Is that, are you, be more specific?
That's one of them. That was the question. The other one is not a question. If you don't know the question, they told me, send me an email, HR sent me an email saying I didn't have enough volunteer skills. I need more volunteer hours. I'm trying to figure out why they said that. Because a lot of people over there working don't have no volunteer skills and they hired them. Why could I get hired?
Yeah.
That's my question on that.
Yeah.
Well, since we don't know that, Reggie, can you ask them to clarify that? Because that's a pretty broad statement. So is there a chance that you can talk to someone there and ask them to clarify that for you so you have a better understanding? Because that's the important part, is that you understand that.
Yeah, I did. That's what they said. I need more volunteers. I did. I already did that already, Vi.
Okay.
Back to me and say, you need more volunteer hours. Volunteer.
Well, it's really hard for us to comment on that because HR is something that all of us, that's just a challenge with how that is. I'm sorry, we can't. Wish we could give you a little more guidance, but that's their decision. That's their company or their organization's decision. And it's not something we can even begin to guess about.
Reggie, I know you and I have talked about some different workforce development and some of the programs in the community. I'd be happy to follow up with you too after this and see if any of those have been helpful or if there might be anything else out there.
Yeah, because right now Renetta is working on trying to get me on. I don't know what program they trying to help her, trying to get me on, but they trying to give me a job for like a caretaker for this homeless person in my house right now. Because actually, technically, if lucky I got a cool landlords, they can put me out for this, but they have not. And the only thing they said, thanks. That's all they keep saying, thanks. lucky I ain't lose my house for this.
Yeah.
But
Well,
thanks. But Renetta's working on something to do with caretaking. Keep me on payroll for that. I give her kudos on that.
Yep. Well, and bless you for doing this, knowing the challenges you may personally face. So we commend you for that too, Reggie. That's phenomenal. I know it doesn't help you, but it sounds like Renetta is helping. And I know Josh said he would try and do whatever he can. So thank you so much for speaking up.
No problem.
Okay, are there any other agency updates?
Hey, Val.
Yes.
I just want to update as the HMIS admin on some reporting. Yesterday, we did get a completed final for the longitudinal systems analysis. I know most of you don't know what that is, but it is a big scoring factor for our NOFA. We had no errors and minimal warnings that all got resolved. Not next week, but the 28th, the system performance measures will also be closing, and all those numbers so far look pretty good too. So Tracy will be less stressed going into March, everybody, just a heads up.
Well, kudos to you, Tracy. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's I know probably none of us understand the level of work that goes into that. And Tracy, thank you. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you so much. Our next meeting will be March 17th at 9 a.m. So everyone have a wonderful day and stay safe.
Yeah.
We still have the coordinated entry immediately following this, however. So if you are a part of the coordinated entry meeting, please stay on.
Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thank you so much.